Next, we have Jakob Gross from Framer, who's going to talk about helping your boss understand your metrics, as I understand it.
Hi, my name is Jacob, and this lightning talk is going to be about sparking some thoughts. Usually I'm more of a technical person, so I like to talk about how to optimize core web vitals, for example. But yeah, going out of my comfort zone today a little bit, going a different route. And the topic is going to be, as Bas said, collecting UX impacting metrics your boss understands. First of all, who am I? Some might recognize this avatar from Twitter, so from the web performance Slack, I'm very active there. And I'm a senior performance engineer at Framer. You might know us from the animation library Framer Motion. I participate in W3C web performance working group calls, so if you have any performance-related topics, come chat. I'll be here tomorrow and on Friday too, of course. And I studied human-computer interaction at university, which is just a fancy term for user experience. And that's what we're going to talk about. And of course, I like making things fast and accessible for everyone. Okay, so what languages do bosses usually speak? So with boss, I mean like upper management, maybe your CEO, for example. They do speak business and money, of course. They're leading the company. They like CTR, so click-through rate, conversion rate, and they like being the first place in search rankings. However, often they don't speak user experience, they don't speak performance, and they don't speak SEO. So that's why they hire us, right? That's why we're here. So now, what do we speak? We speak FCP, LCP, IMP, CLS, TBT, FID. Yeah, you see where I'm going, right? So there's a huge mission impossible, making your boss understand what we are talking about. So how do we go from this? By the way, TLA is 3-letter acronyms. I stole this from last year from someone's talk. So how do we make our boss look like this, like the king of TLAs? And let's start with the most obvious one, which is the most convincing argument, like Google saying core web vitals are used by our ranking system, good core web vitals are needed for success with search, and ensure a great user experience generally. Okay, but the previous slide alone isn't enough to convince your boss this is important what we're doing. So usually I'd say go grab a coffee with your SEO and UX team. And I like to call it performance alliances, because if you, for example, reach out to your SEO team, they will over and over tell your boss why core web vitals must be green for good search ranking and CTR. So they will annoy him until, well, there's budget for performance. Then the UX team, they know how important performance is, because user experience is part of performance. And great user experience can improve conversion rates. So this is what we like, right? So in all of the companies I've worked, I've seen the SEO team has the best impact on your boss, because your bosses know every online business starts and ends with organic reach, so search clicks. So they listen to their SEO teams. And core web vitals in general have lots of case studies. So I added a few links, web.dev/case studies from Google, and all of the RAM providers also have great blog posts on this. For example, LCP, an improvement of 100 milliseconds led to 1.3% higher conversions. And 1.3% higher conversions sounds not so much, but that could be millions for some businesses. Okay, but we're not here for like just core web vitals. We might know why they're important, right? So I just want to highlight IMP again, because we just had a great talk about this. And IMP in general is a great proxy for failed user experience, because it measures how fluid a website or how fluid interactions are. And not only that, but here's a graph from SpeedCurve. Shout out to them. They made a study. In blue, you see the conversion rate, and in yellow, you see IMP. So at around, or like slightly below 100 milliseconds, we see the conversion rate peaks. And at around 250 milliseconds, we see that's the P75 in this graph. And there's an astonishing 10% conversion rate difference. 10%. Like your boss, this is your boss's dream. 10% conversion rate more for free, basically. And at Framer, we've seen the same. So in this graph, you could guess when we shipped IMP improvements. And around here, our customer reported 85% better AMP, and that led to more than 100% more search impressions and search clicks. So this is quite a lot. Okay, so now let's say our boss understands core web vitals, at least somewhat. Let's say our core web vitals are green. It's hard, I know, but let's assume. So what do we do now? Do we end the talk? Was this just 4 minutes or so? Or do we just quit the job, change job? Of course we don't. Like, let's think outside the box. What we are here today, or what I'm here today is, for Sparking Thoughts, I want to say we want to collect UX impacting metrics everyone understands. Not only your boss, but the whole company. So we can improve them together. Like, that's the motto why you're here today. Let's collaborate on performance. Like, put everyone on the same page. So speaking of everyone, when does a page feel ready to use? So I brought 2 examples, and here's one. This is Framer, our homepage. So when does this feel ready to you? You can shout answers. When the font flickers? When the sign up for free was visible. Yeah. Okay, and here's another example. So I'm reloading the page. Yeah, right. Good calls. I think for everyone the answer is slightly different, and I highlighted here some stage of the loading phase. So this is the LCP. Does this page feel ready to you? So we had the same scenario. So a customer reached out to us, and we looked at the page. We saw, okay, core web vitals are green. They are great. So are core web vitals the only predictors for a good user experience? Like, do they ensure? We get told it's slow, so the first step we did is figuring out what's slow. And the surprising answer in this case was, for the customer, the cookie banner. So for them, the cookie banner loading late was their website is slow. And I think this is actually true, because if you look at the next example, and this time it isn't a Framer page, you see the shop is interactive, and then the cookie banner pops up. And I think this is the experience, if you're not from Europe, this is our experience daily. So yeah, if we want to put it in simple terms, I'd say is I work on metric in simple terms, so that effect in simple terms. Like, this is something you can tell your boss. And in this case, I tell my boss, I work on making the cookie banner show up earlier, so that users can interact with our shop earlier. This is simple. Everyone understands the goal and what I'm doing. So okay, so how do we measure user experience beyond core web vitals? And I brought some ideas for like what everyone understands. For example, when is my site usable? So when does my app accept clicks? When does the cookie banner show up? When do my most meaningful videos run? For example, on the Framer homepage, we had a video. When do scroll effects work? And all of those elements on our Framer website could be, for some users, the most important element. The video on the right side, the big box, or like the login button. Maybe our user wants to log in. The H1, the big title, and so on. We've also heard the different answers in the crowd. Or on mobile, the burger menu button. It's a very important element. So I like to call it new era of metrics, basically, because we want to look beyond the core web vitals. When does my H1 render, most meaningful animations visually complete? When does my primary feature show up or become interactive? And that could be burger menu, amount of products in the cart, search bar, or maybe your company logo is the most important element. And of course, when can I read the first tweet about my talk? So yeah, I stole this from last year again. So Mark Seaman had a great talk about this, pushing pixels, so shout out to him. But also, like this is a tweet from 2 days ago. Malte Uris, the CTO of Vercel, and they measure time to focused input on their AI coding agent, because putting in your AI query or whatever is the most important thing for the app. So they're measuring how they compare to the competitors. All in all, I'd say you can't improve what you don't measure. And this is exactly the motto of Framer. So we made invisible metrics visible. We started doing this. And yeah, it wouldn't be a good technical talk without a humble brag, right? So yeah, we measured hydration duration and the cookie start time. And this is quite a huge drop, so 50% faster. And yeah, I'm out of time, so rushing through this. So basically, visible metrics brings work to Spotlight. It makes them tangible, and especially numbers are important here, because numbers make also your management understand what you're doing. So maybe they want to give you more budget, and they can correlate it to business metrics. Okay, so rushing through this now, how to measure, you can look this up later. Also, shout out to container timings. That's what we spoke about in the web performance working group. So if you're passionate about new things in the performance section, join us. And yeah, how to collect them. There are run providers. For example, Debug Bear is very helpful. Or do it yourself, of course. And then finally, am I collecting the right metrics? I don't know, unless I'm a user. So go talk to your users. This is the best thing you can do, and also the reason why you should make friends with your UX team, because they know how to run user studies. Okay, so summary, just quick again. Visible metrics reduce the guesswork. It makes it more visible what you are doing to your management, and also make sure you can catch regressions in user experience beyond core web files. Thank you.